Yo,
Welcome back, man, to the Think Big podcast. It's your boy Daryl. I got my brother Mindset Marlon with me. We're actually in the same crib. So we'll talk about why. I think did we talk about why before? We'll talk about that in a bit. And we got my guy. It's really Alejandro Alvarez, my guy. What's up, dog? You know you
how
gotta
are
roll
you,
your
man?
tongue. You gotta roll your tongue the right way when you say your name, bro. Pause.
Thank you, thank thank you for the introduction, bro.
Bro, it's the intro.
Wow.
Welcome to the Think Big podcast, man. And we have another episode of Deal or No Deal, baby.
Trato o no trato.
Trato
Trato,
o no
no
trato.
trato. Oh, what's that? So
Oh,
Daryl, if y'all don't know, Daryl's got a bad kid over here, and his kid be eating everything on the floor, be eating everything in the house.
It was just that.
So Daryl had to get up and go run. So what's going on, y'all? So Alejandro, I think I'm breaking down a deal today. I'm just looking through my emails. I'm operating off my cell phone today because we got my computer in the office, and right now somebody else is using. I'm letting someone else use the office space. So y'all gonna have to bear with me as we break down the deals from our phone today. But Alejandro, you know, when we do deal no deal, what's that all about for the people that are new who are coming in for the very first time? What's deal no deal all about?
well, that's a great question, Mr. Mindset yourself. What we do is we break down all the real deals we are currently working on or closed on, and we just getting together to see what kind of point of view we have, what opinions we have, because everyone are in a different phase of the business, and we're gonna have a different opinion. It might be a really good deal for Daryl, and it might be a terrible deal for me. And that's kind of what we're looking to do here. So to show you guys the deals we look at on a daily basis, because we do close deals aggressively. So we're gonna put it on here and share it with you guys and see what you guys think.
Perfect. I love it. Yo, exactly. So I'm going to be breaking down a deal that I had purchased. So check it out. I know we got in trouble, by the way, for sharing addresses on YouTube. So I'm guessing it's like a YouTube algorithm and things like that where we can't share addresses anymore. But I mean, what I was looking for just now is pulling up my HUD statement. So this is a property that I just closed on again last week. And I got to say the word again because here's an interesting thing. There's a lot of different ways to buy properties. You guys might be most familiar with the creative financing if you're following Daryl, Alejandro, Sam, or myself. But then there are still some traditional ways to buy properties that a lot of people forget about, which I personally still consider creative financing because for me, creative financing is just finding out how to make the deal work. It's finding out how to get the money and making sure that, most importantly, none of the money is mine. Right. So every property that I own, I have not put a single dollar into the money, into the property, including properties that I purchased for cash. So this deal that I'm going to break down, I guess since I can't tell them the address, I'll see what I can tell them. Um, I
What
mean,
city? What city, man? Give me the zip code, bro, so I can
Milwaukee,
just market that zip code.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Zip code, I don't even know where the zip code is on this one.
Milwaukee?
So, yep, this is a property out of Milwaukee. This was a single family home that I purchased. Now, I purchased this home for cash way back when. And when I bought this property for cash, check this out. This I feel so weird not having like my spreadsheets and all that stuff. Like I'm just telling you. It's like it just feels weird. Like I'm just like explaining the deal to everybody. So yeah, bear with me. Bear with me for
Can we
real.
possibly somehow get it on the screen? We could share.
Well, I don't even have like a spreadsheet ready for this one.
Yeah.
Like this is like
So let's just talk numbers then, dog.
yep, we're gonna talk numbers here on this one. So I'm gonna do my best to be as accurate with the numbers as possible. So with the property here, what happened was we got this one under contract for. I bought this one actually from a wholesaler, funny enough. So if y'all have deals for sale, if you're wholesaling deals, I'm your buyer, right? I also wholesale properties, but I also buy from other wholesalers to keep the circle of wealth going. And this one I bought from a wholesaler. They originally were marketing it for $80,000. Honestly, it was a good deal at 80. However, when I walked the property I didn't walk the property. When I sent someone to walk the property and they got photos, I saw that there was going to still be a little bit more work that needed to be done. So I just had a conversation with the wholesaler saying, like, listen, this is the key to all negotiation. You got to be ready to walk away.
Facts.
I explained to him, like, listen, like, I like the
Mhm.
deal, but I like the deal at $70,000. And I was just being honest. So the deal for me worked at 80, but I liked it better at 70. What I was able to do was I was able to get the property under contract at 70. He had about I think he had a $20,000 assignment on there, which, like, listen, if you're getting $20,000 rips, I'm all for it, but not on my properties. Not when I'm buying these things for less than 100 grand. You know, that's a lot, right? So pick the property up for 70K. With this property, all it needed was an updated furnace. It needed to get the furnace updated and some minor touches in the house. So I'm talking $5,000, $6,000 worth of work. Nothing crazy at all. Currently renting the property. Once we got it updated, rented the property out. I have a tenant inside this home renting at, I think she's paying $1,650 per month. $1,650 per month is what she's paying every single month. And here's the cool part about that. If we're looking at this from just like a cash deal, that's already a great return. Getting that kind of money for a property that I'm picking up for 70K, I'm putting about 6K into it. So I'm all in around $76,000. When I
Do you have a payment that you pay every month?
No, so right now, Alejandro's iPad. Yeah, what's going on, Alejandro's iPad? So
Sorry, guys.
that's all good. With this property, I had no payment when I first got it with the private money. My lender allows me to not make any payments until I settle out the debt. So it's one of my favorite things to do. When I bring my private money lenders on, I give them an option that they can potentially get paid more as long as they don't. I'm getting distracted over here. As long as they allow me to pay them back on the back end. So I held this property for about 3 months. I held the property for about 3 months, not having to make a single payment, collecting the monthly rent payments every single month.
Nice.
So I was cash flowing from day one. I had money in the bank from day one because on a $70,000 purchase, how much money do you think I borrowed?
A little more than 70,000.
About $100,000 is what I borrowed.
Yeah. Why? Why? Can we explain why to the people who
Yep.
may not know?
So, guys, whenever you're purchasing properties, one thing, especially if you have to do any sort of work, renovations, or rehab, you want to have more money than you need. Because when something can go wrong, just anticipate that it will go wrong. So what I did was I borrowed $100,000 in case we needed to do any sort of renovation. It allows me to have a buffer in the property, and it gives me the ability to just be as flexible as I need. Now, again, I purchased the property for 70K. What do y'all think the ARV on the property was?
150?
Hey,
150.
my guy Alejandro was close with the numbers. So the appraisal came back at 158.
Oh, nice.
So we are literally, when people say they can't pick up properties for 50 cents on the dollar, guys, I'm picking them up for less than 50 cents on the dollar.
Bro, you could have paid that wholesaler 20K, bro.
Could have.
But that's the lesson, bro. That's the lesson. You got to get better at sales. If you are looking to sell deals to guys like Marlon, guys like Alejandro, guys like me, you got to sell these deals, right? Like you have to show them why you deserve 20K for this assignment fee.
And here's the thing to understand. The reason I got it, because like I said before, when he was selling it for 80, I was okay with 80. But here's the thing. I didn't need the property. I wasn't hungry for the deal. And I've learned this lesson. In fact, I was interviewing Abraham Griffin. Shout out to Abraham from Atlanta, who, has purchased and founded over 100 businesses in the last 30 years. Probably like one of the richest real estate investors in Atlanta. Super cool dude, amazing human being. And when I asked him what was one of the biggest lessons he'd learned over his 3 decades of entrepreneurship, you know what he said to me? He says, you got to know when to fold.
Mm-hmm.
He says, you got to know when to walk away. Right. And having that ability to walk away. And so when I go and I purchase properties, in the beginning, I was so hungry to prove myself. I just got to buy my first deal so I can be a real estate investor, so I can tell everyone I own houses. Well, guess what? I can say that stuff now, and it really doesn't change how I feel about me. Just being totally honest, it doesn't change how I feel about my business, how I feel about other people. So I'm no longer trying to prove that medal. Like I've already gotten that badge in the Boy Scouts here. like the buy your first house badge, the own some rental properties badge. Like I've gotten those badges. So because of that, I'm now able to be a little bit choosier. I have the ability to relax and look at these deals more objectively. So back to these numbers. I got this deal, picked it up at 70K, put a couple thousand into it. So, let's count for closing costs and all that craziness. I'm about all in on this deal, somewhere around $82,000. $82,000. Property appraises at 158. Why do I care about the appraisal? Great question. Well, because I purchased the property cash, I've got to pay back that private money lender. Right? They're not just going to leave their money out there indefinitely. Plus, with my private money lender, I'm paying somewhere around 10% interest on this money every single month.
Damn.
Well, not every single month, but I'm paying 10% annually. So that's a pretty high interest rate when I have to pay back the money at the end of the day. So I don't want to leave this money in place. So what do? I go ahead and I refinance the property. Right? Not just a regular refinance, a cash out refinance.
I like cash.
In other words, when I go to cash out my investor, I'm able to pull anywhere up to 75% of the ARV. So with this property, if I'm looking at refining at 75% ARV is 158. Let's multiply that by 0.75. That says 118,000. How much did I say I owed on this property? We called it about 82,000.
82.
So that leaves me with about $36,500 of tax-free income. Now, I didn't cash out the whole 75
Tax-free?
because tax-free. I didn't cash out the whole 75. Why? Because I'm in a position where I didn't have to. So what we did was we cashed out about 65%. Also, we're in a place where, just being totally honest, y'all, I've used my credit a lot in the last year. So when I use my credit score goes down. When I'm refinancing with something called a DSCR loan. They do hard pulls and hard inquiries. So because my credit also went down, I was in a position where they said, look, if you refinance the entire 75%, you're going to have a higher interest rate. You can go with less and have a lower interest rate. Mm-hmm. So for me, because I had enough equity in the deal, because there was enough room in the deal, I was able to go with a 65% cash out refi. So let's look at what that was. 158 times 0.65, $102,000.
That's still good.
Right? So I'm all in at 82. So I still walk away with 20 grand from this property. And here's the cool part. I've got a major buffer in my property now as well from a value standpoint. So if the market were to turn, do anything crazy, I'm still in an advantageous spot that if I wanted to sell, if I wanted to liquidate, if I wanted to do any of that stuff, I've got equity in my deal. But here's the best part, because I really don't care about equity all that much. I got cash flow. Because my monthly mortgage on this property is about $725, somewhere around there, $725, and my rents are a little over $1,600 a month.
Damn.
Milwaukee, baby.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Bro, you have any?
You want to go over there? You want to go take down some properties in Milwaukee?
Nah, bro. You ever heard of the Kia Boys?
The Kia Boys.
Yeah. You know, heard about the Kia Boys, bro? Yo, go on YouTube and look up the Kia Boys, bro. It's these guys in Milwaukee, and they steal Kias with iPhone chargers, and they put out tutorials steal Kias with iPhone chargers. And look, this is what they do. They take these cars and they drive so recklessly, like they be crashing into buildings and everything out there. So get some insurance out there, dog, for them Kia Boys, because Milwaukee's crazy.
My man, Marlon, he's cash flowing heavy, man. He's not worried about the IKEA.
I'm not gonna lie. This was we didn't anticipate it being like such a sweetheart of a deal, but it ended up being such a sweet deal that we were just like, yeah, we're gonna hold on to it. So really, what I love about this deal is this is why I still buy cash. I still buy cash. Now, here's someone might be wondering, like, man, why doesn't everyone buy deals in Milwaukee? Well, here's the challenge with buying deals in Milwaukee, because I just want to be fully transparent about, the pros and cons. Besides the Kia Boys, you know what I mean? What we got also to remember is these are lower price point properties, right? So the amount of time it takes to go and buy one property, I'm talking about, increasing my net worth by 30, 40, $50,000. But if I were to go out and buy, for example, like the house we're living in right now, this is $1 million property. It took all the same amount of time to buy this property that it does to buy that property in Milwaukee. The only difference is this property adds an additional 0 to my net worth. So those are pros and cons. What's my ROI, Eddie? My ROI, that's a great question. Well, what is my ROI? I borrowed someone else's money to get into the deal. So far I've got no money in. I borrowed $100,000 to get into the deal. I spent of that $100,000 about $82,000. I refinanced with the bank and took their money to pay back the other people's money. So now I've got the bank's money in the deal, and I was paid $20,000. So my ROI, according to my calculations, if I carried a 0, divide by 3, I put nothing into it, is infinite.
Infinity.
So this is the cool thing. This is why I say it's creative financing. Creative financing isn't just subject to, it's not just seller financing. Creative financing is, how do I structure the deal? How do I find the money to get into the deal? As far as I'm concerned, if you're not using any of your money, that's hella creative.
Facts.
I have a question for you, Marlon. Why instead of bringing in the lender up front, why don't you just use the DSLR DSLER loan up front?
So the reason I didn't just go ahead and use the DSCR loan up front, because if I use them right away, I still have to come up with the down payment to get into the deal because I don't own the property yet. So the DSCR, they won't just go and purchase the property for me. Plus,
I think you got to break that down a little bit slower. Trust me, that's the stuff like that took me a while to understand, and that's something you should definitely slow down on, because that's some value right there.
Yeah, so let's explain this for a second. When we go out as investors and we're talking to these homeowners who want to sell their property, why are the homeowners selling their property to me or to you or to Daryl or to Sam versus anybody else, right? Why don't they just list it on the MLS? Well, usually because for whatever reason, they want a quick sale. They want a fast sale. Now, with getting that quick, fast sale, what's going on is, sorry guys, I'm getting a little distracted. What's going on is, I'm sorry, yo. I can't, I'm like a squirrel and people were coming up the staircase. So what's happening there is, yeah, I'm just being honest, man. Like I'm a one-track mind kind of person. So like if something's happening, I'm paying attention to it.
You gotta check your surroundings first, bro.
Got it, man. So what's happening with when we go and buy from these people, they want to sell to us for cash. Why do they want to sell for cash? When I go and I purchase cash, it gives me the power to move at a faster speed. When I go and I borrow money from a bank, when I get a traditional loan, a FHA, a conventional loan, if I'm using even a DSCR loan, the bank, those traditional lenders are looking to have appraisals. They're looking to have a sign off, which, as you can imagine, takes much more time. So when we're buying these houses for cash, speed is king. Right? Speed is absolutely king. What up, Sam Singh?
Look at this guy.
Guys, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Loud and clear, Captain.
Oh, beautiful. Guys, I am so sorry. So I'm on the road and we're traveling.
Literally.
And I've just been on the highway this whole time. I've been listening this entire time in StreamYard purgatory, but I'm here now, guys. I am absolutely.
Bro, did you pull over just to be a part of this, bro?
What was that?
Did you pull over just so we could see your beautiful face?
Dude, I literally, I was trying to get on this whole time from the road, and I'm like, that's irresponsible. Let me go find a place to park. But like, guys, do you guys see the mountains? I don't know if you guys can see those, but there's
yeah, we can see it.
But okay, back to I am literally about halfway down California right now, going down to Southern California. We're gonna do some deals. We're gonna go and crash my brother. I think he's here. Crash Richard Knowles meetup in a few days.
Nice.
We're gonna go speak at on a panel on an event, and then hopefully look into some real estate and yeah. But guys, I've missed you guys. Okay, guys, back to Deal or No Deal.
Yo, this man is so freaking handsome.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yo, doesn't
bro.
he look like a rock star? He looks like he's straight up like on the tour. Like I'm waiting to see the tour bus behind. I'm waiting to see some like bras and panties getting thrown in the air. Like I just imagine like that's what life is
That's the
like
life he
every day
lives.
when Sam like just opens up his door. He gets out of bed, he opens the blinds, and it's just like screaming girls.
Yeah, they
And then
feed
that's
him
what happens. Like, it's just like the camera blacks out
grapes.
because like the internet's not ready for it.
Guys, I mean, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just kidding, guys. Okay, but can I mention something real quick?
Please.
So while I was in StreamYard Purgatory, right? When I was in StreamYard Purgatory and it wouldn't let me join, Marlon said something really, really interesting.
Dang, I guess they'll never know.
So sorry, guys. I'm so
The
sorry.
sauce.
Okay, he said something super interesting, and it's this person's calling me. It's annoying. I'm so sorry. And that creative financing, it can also be called creative financing when you're creatively finding the funding. So Marlon went and got basically, technically a conventional-esque loan. He is going to a bank, but the creative sourcing of the funds and the creative moving around of the funds can still be considered creative financing. So we look at this method that we all use called the Morby method, which technically is based on a non-recourse asset-based loan, which we go to a bank, we go to a lender to get it. And a lot of people think that, oh, because you went to a bank, that's not creative financing. But the cool thing about Morby method is we get creative on how we fund it, on how we fund the loan, the movement of the money. And that's still creative financing. So I love that you said that, because the reality is this. I think we are truly a little bit spoiled as creative finance specialists, right? Especially Alejandro here, who's doing like 15 creative finance like raps right now. So every time I open up Instagram, Alejandro Alvarez has a new rap. I swear, it's wild. Every single time, it's like a new rap, and I'm like, God dang. But I'm really glad that you said that, because guys, cash deals, which are technically conventional deals, there's still opportunity there if you know how to structure things the right way. So Marlon, I'm so sorry. I'll let you get back to it.
No, bro, you're spot on. So where were we? We were essentially breaking down like the value that people need to understand. And I think sometimes people forget this. Like what makes a cash offer so valuable? Because people say like, man, why would they ever why would someone sell the property? They sold me that property less than 50 cents on the dollar, right? Like think about that. In fact, they actually sold it cheaper than that because the wholesaler made a fee. So they sold it closer to 40 cents on the dollar. But remember, when someone's buying cash, they can forego all those sort of appraisals, all those sort of things that stop a closing from happening, because now the bank isn't involved. There's no parent to sign off on you purchasing the property. So I was able to purchase the property cash, not using the DSCR loan to purchase. Like Sam said, I could use it if the seller were going to give me enough time to go and qualify and things of that nature, but it would take away my competitive advantage to be able to purchase the property at a lower price, at a discounted price. So I get into the deal for cash and I leverage my relationships to borrow private capital and actually allow another person to get in on the deal. So somebody else made money with me on the deal because I went down this creative route. Does that make sense?
Did you explain what DSCR loan is, Marlon?
Man, that doorbell is serious.
You guys got
So-
the
Yo, hold on. I want to check out. Oh, I finally got the ring. I want to see who's up. Yo, you ready to look at the ring, bro? Hold on. We got peep. Who's at the door?
What is that?
I don't know. Who is that? Who that is?
look.
Solar salesperson trying to sell us some solar. Tell them we got infinite power. This house is powered by Tesla. All right. So DSCR loan. Wow, we are just going everywhere tonight with this episode. This is what happens. I'm just chilling next to Daryl. I'm having too much fun right now.
Facts.
So DSCR stands for Debt Service Coverage Ratio. Debt Service Coverage Ratio. And what this is, it's an asset-based loan. So this is very familiar in the world of commercial real estate This is used all day long. In fact, this is the main sort of loans used in the commercial real estate space. Commercial real estate being anything that's 5 units or more, or anything with a business inside of it. So for example, let's say I had a 2-unit building and the upstairs was a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment, and down below was, I don't know, something like a beauty salon. That's going to be considered commercial property because that beauty salon is a business inside of the property. And so when we get into commercial property, the loan structures change quite a little bit, because here's the coolest part about commercial property. The mortgage is based on the property income, not your income. The mortgage is based on the property income, not your income. So it's kind of interesting, right? Like, let's say in a traditional sense, I wanted to go buy a 4-unit building. In a normal sense, the banks, they want to know how much money I make, my credit score, and like all that kind of nonsense. But let's say I move to a 6-unit building, which isn't that much different from a 4-unit building. I'm looking at a 6-unit building now. Alejandro, they don't care about my personal income anymore. They're looking at the income of the property now. They're looking at the property's ability to service its own debt. Now, this is where it gets even cooler. DSCR loans take that ability of commercial lending and bring it to the residential real estate space. So now I can begin using those same asset-based loans on my investment properties, although they're still 1 to 4 units. So I can get a single family home and my DSCR loan can be for $1,000 per month, let's say, as long as my rent is 1.25 higher than the debt rate. Actually, at one point they were making it 1 to 1. In other words, if I had a rent amount of $1,000, I can go and get a mortgage that would cost me up to $1,000 per month. But as an investor, As an investor, I would never do that. Exactly. It sounds like a major setup. That's a fast way to get in foreclosed on.
Facts.
But essentially, as long as my rents are 1.25 times the expense, so my $1,000 a month expense, my rents need to be at minimum $1,250. So $250 or 0.25, 25% higher than my expenses. They will approve that loan without me personally needing to qualify. And here's the coolest part about those sort of loans, Alejandro, is I can have as many of those suckers as I want. Because the debt isn't my debt, it's the asset's debt. So every asset has its own debt. Every property is one of one.
I want to highlight something real quick. This loan type, right? Asset-based loans, DSCR loans are DSCR loans. They're amazing because of what you just mentioned, right? The DTI, which is the scalability portion of them. But Marlon, here's something that I want to showcase to the people, because this is really important, because I've run into this. When you go and apply with a non-recourse asset-based loan, most lenders, guys, this is some game for you. Most lenders do not want to hear that you're going to do Airbnb with the property.
Oh.
If that's strategy, no one talks about this. Literally, no one talked about it. I had to learn it on the fly. Good thing is the guy that I was talking to was like really cool about it. The reason is this. So when you go to these people for these single family properties to get this loan type, and if you're trying to do Airbnb with it because it's going to make a ton of money, great, fantastic, go do it. But Marlon, when you go to these lenders and make an application, are you telling them that you're going to do an Airbnb?
No, and here's why I'm not doing that. And this is going to be for everybody from an underwriting standpoint. What I do when I go, and let's say I have a property that I would like to Airbnb, I need to still make sure that the property works as a traditional long-term rental, because that's how I need to underwrite it. So if I'm going to Airbnb it, here's what I legally do, right? This is what I do, because rule number 6 of real estate investing, always be legal. What I do is I actually rent the property to my other LLC at the market rate. And I prove those rents are coming in. So I actually rent the property to my own LLC, and I actually have rent coming into my bank account. And I take that to the lender to get approved for the DSCR loans. Understand that if they see short-term rental rates coming in, or even if they see higher than normal rates, they're going to look at something as like, let's say the market rents are $2,000 per month and you've got $6,000 coming in. They're going to look at this and say, listen, we can't go with those numbers, but what we can do is we can honor the highest market rents in your area. But they will not put themselves in a position where if something goes wrong, you're the outlier that gets burnt first. Right? If the market switches, they don't want to be in a position where they may have to foreclose and default on you, because contrary to most people's belief, banks do not like foreclosures because foreclosures are expensive and time consuming and take away money from the banks, not just in the interest they earn, but in the opportunity cost they have to lend to more people. So it's important that you underwrite your properties for long-term rentals, even if utilizing a DSCR and an exit strategy of Airbnb, short-term rentals, or midterm rentals. So important, vitally important.
Would you recommend this strategy to a newbie, to somebody who has no experience at all?
So my honest answer, if you're brand new, if you're young and you got nothing to lose, hell yeah. I'm being real. I'm just being real. Hell yeah, because you're going to learn a lot through the process. But here's where I would recommend it. If the numbers work, you don't force this deal. In other words, guys, where did I picked up that property for less than 50 cents on the dollar, right? I was all in for less than 50 cents on the dollar. Well, somewhere close to like between 50 and 55% on the dollar is what I was all in. Knowing that I was going to be able to pull out 75%, that's a major buffer. I got a 20% buffer, right? People do deals for 20% profits. I have a 20% buffer. So I have plenty of equity to actually play around and to make something of this deal. So creative financing, I will always say, is king. However, equity, at the end of the day, nothing trumps being able to buy something for dirt cheap, because it gives you options in real estate. This is why real estate is such a cool asset class, because you can leverage at such a high level if you're able to negotiate a good deal. How much rent time do these banks ask for? Great question, Eddie. So Eddie asks, how much rent time do the banks ask for? Because he knows in order to refinance, the banks like to see something called seasoning. They like to see that the properties aren't just popping in and out, poofing in and out of existence overnight. They want to verify that the rents have been coming in. So most traditional lenders require 6 months of seasoning. That means they want to see rents coming in for 6 months. They want to see that you've owned the property and managed the property for 6 months. Now, I have a lender that lets me refinance in 3 months, in 90 days. So that's why I do so much with them. In fact, many of you have seen many of my videos and you notice that I wear a sweater that says Hal's Lending on it. And that's because they've been lending with me. They lent. We refinanced a little over $1 million with them last year. So they sent me a sweater for Christmas. That was kind of cool. But the reason I go with them is because of the speed. It's because I get 90-day cash out refinances. I'm able to pull out equity at 90 days. Some lenders will allow you to refinance quickly. Some lenders even let you refinance within 24 hours of purchasing the property. The only thing is they won't let you pull out the additional equity. They will let you refinance to the amount that you currently have invested in the property. Those are called rate in term refinances. All you're doing is you're replacing the debt. You're replacing whatever you owe on the property with long-term stabilized debt.
Bro, you got to hook me up with that lender, dude. 3 months turnaround on a cash out. I haven't seen that yet. So that's actually insane.
Bro,
Man,
that's why I refinanced so much last year. They were moving quickly, man. And it's funny, there's been a handful of other lenders that have done the 90-day refinance, but a lot of them disappeared. A lot of them aren't able to withstand, it's too volatile of a game for them to play. So I really did find a special lender. It's not common. The common rule of thumb is 6 months. So definitely I'll connect you guys.
I want to highlight this. The reality is, with a lot of what Marlon is saying, is with how these banks look at underwriting. The reality is this, right? The bank's got its minimum. Every bank and every lending institution has its minimum underwriting capability that needs to be met. But the reality is you're dealing with a human being, right? Like Marlon's built a relationship with a specific person at this lending institution. I can't remember what the name of this place is. But this is the person who's basically signing off on these loans for him. And lenders are relational, right? If you're a newbie who is doing your first deal, and first deal with them at least, they're gonna have all the safeguards up, all of them up. But guess what ends up happening when Marlon does deals, transacts, performs on them, shows that he's a person of high integrity and can perform on his word? Because that's what's happening when you're signing these documents with them, right? You're committing that you are going to do what you're going to pay back these loans. You're going to be on time. You're going to be a good steward of their money. And sorry, guys, I'm like in the middle of a gigantic parking lot. And as that happens, as he keeps doing that and building that track record, right, those safeguards they have per deal will start coming down. And as they start coming down, he's able to probably get into some better loan types, some better turnarounds, like that cash out on a 90-day. I mean, that's insane. So it just goes to show it's a relational thing. But one thing I really want to hammer away for the folks is in the beginning, when you're reaching out to these banks to get these types of loans, just remember, a bank or a lending institution, which is basically a bank, is a boring, stable entity. They like boring and stable, right? That is it. They don't want to hear about short-term rental. Marlon, one thing that's really important that you talked about with, having enough rent coming in and consistent market rent coming in and not showing $7,500 per month on Airbnb. Another way to really kind of help you out when you're going for these loan types and trying to, especially if you have a property that's performing, is they like also seeing multi-month leases too. They like that. Why? Because it shows they're not high turnover. They don't like seeing the month-to-month as much as they do a 6-month lease or a 12-month lease, because to them, it's hard for them to track if there's volatility, if every month there's a new tenant. And so these are just multiple things that I want people to focus on, because literally no one talks about this. Marlon just gave us a freaking masterclass on this stuff that I only was able to learn in the moment when I did it the first time. And I was like, wait a minute, what the heck? Why doesn't anyone teach it? Marlon just dropped all that. So, dude, huge.
Bro, 100%. And you're absolutely right about the leases. And understand, like, your lenders are going to, if you go this route of going and getting DSCR loans, your lenders are going to comb through your leases. I had one underwriter hold up the contract, hold up the signing and the closing, simply because on one of our leases, I made a silly mistake. It was a year-long lease, and on the end date, I forgot to change the year from 2022 to 2023, right? So it just shows that they actually do read through that stuff as well. Sometimes we think that we're submitting this information and they're not really looking at all the details. And it blew my mind that this guy held up the closing for that. And so back to Alejandro's earlier question on, could we not close and purchase the property with DSCR loans? The answer is we could. It would take so much more time. So cash allows us to get into the deal quickly. And that's why we're willing to pay such high interest rates, like 8% and 10% on our cash loans. When we bring in private money partners, we're able to pay those people so much money to participate in our deals, because they provide us the benefit of being able to get inside there with a lot more speed and a lot less friction. So for people that are interested in getting into a real estate deal and learning the ins and outs, that's another way you can be a part of deals, is like go and talk to guys like Alejandro, talk to guys like Sam, talk to guys like Daryl, and see if you can lend and be a part of their deal and watch the transaction happen. Start to see all those moving parts while you're participating in the deal. That way you're getting paid on it, you're getting a return on it, and you're also able to see the nuance that you don't know about until after you're in the game. Like, there's so much nuance that you just find out about after you're actually participating in the game.
I wanted to highlight something really quick, because I've been speaking to a lot of people lately about like they're wanting to put like their money into deals and stuff, and for some reason, majority of them, like they want to have some equity in the deal. And I was like, what exactly are you looking for? He was like, well, I'm looking to learn. I'm like, you don't need to have equity to learn. Like I would like I've had lenders, and I'm not doing this anymore, but I've had lenders, specific lenders that I've known for a while, that they had like 5K or something like that, and I put him into the deal, even though I needed like 30K. I just put him into the deal just so they can understand the process, and they took that same strategy, and then 2 months later they came back, hey, I got 50 grand this month. So those are the things that you have to look for, like whenever you look into get into real estate and you want to piggyback off someone that's experienced. Like, don't worry so much about being part of the equity or stuff like that. Like, lend whatever you can to get your feet wet and understand how the process work, because I can assure you, like, whatever your return is on that money you lend, like the return on that, on the value you get on learning, it's so much more than the money, so much more. So I'm glad you brought that up, Marlon.
100%. Yeah, like if you're new and you're just looking to start getting some experience under your belt, do whatever you can to get into your first deal. Right? Like, because that first deal is the hardest deal, but you're gonna learn so much in that first deal. Like my first deal, I made a whopping $4,000. Like my private lenders make more money on their first deal than I made on my first deal. But it got me proof of concept. It showed me these moving parts. And it's just like, I would say the biggest thing is find people when you're new. And, we talked about this kind of in our first few episodes when we were talking about if you're new to real estate investing, what would you do? Find people who have already proven themselves, who already have a track record, right? Like go and hitch yourself onto their boat for a little bit, right? Let them know, like, I want to hitch on. Let them know, look, I'm here to provide as much value as I can. In exchange, I'm looking to gain some experience, right? Like the days of interning, I think there's something to that. There's something to like being able to go and shadow under another person. In fact, that's one of my, I guess, like I would say, like bigger regrets. If I had to restart, if I could go back, now it's funny. Like I almost have like too much pride to do that, but I would have wished that I had the opportunity to go find people, like to go find like a Sam Singh and like go work for him and like just learn from him and his system. Like that would have been invaluable,
quick, bro. Because you still got time, dog. There's billionaires. There's levels that we gotta reach.
Well,
dog. There's levels. There's always gonna be different times where we can, like Keston, for instance, right? Keston was doing his own thing, and he submit to somebody else's vision, right? And now he's doing way bigger things than he was doing by himself.
True.
So
100%. And it's funny because that's something that you and I were talking earlier in the house today about some stuff I have planned coming for the future. And that's it right there. It's go and get yourself around people who are doing bigger than you and be willing to check your ego at the door. Just leave it at the door, because I'm going to share something a little vulnerably with everybody here. One of the things that's held me back the most in my career was putting too much weight on the opinions of others. I truly cared about what other people thought. I did. Right. And like, some of these people that I cared about, they're great people, but at the end of the day, it's my life to live. So ultimately recognize when you're putting too much weight on other people and their opinions, and you're hearing them say, oh man, but I would never, not do this or not do that, or I would never go and work for somebody else. Okay, cool. But I would if it were the opportunity to grow 10 times, 20 times, 30 times more than where I am currently. Any day of the week. What's up, Karen?
It's about seasons too, right? Like you got to know what season you're in life, right? Like if you're in the season where, like, so some advice that you gave me when I first started, when I didn't know nothing, I didn't have no money. I'm like, yo, how do I become a closer? Like, get on a team. And I actually just posted a video about this today. When you're able to lock in and focus on one thing, right? And you're not required to have to wear all the hats of the business, and you could just wear one and just focus on getting better, right? You'll quickly realize how much you're actually learning about the whole entire business when you could just focus on one part, right? And not have to worry about doing everything at the same time. So if you're in that season where you're in you're in a learning season where you need to get knowledge and you need to gain skills, put your pride to the side and work on somebody's team. Right now, you may not be in that season right now. You may be where Marlon's at, where he's like, yo, I got my own thing running, but eventually you're going to elevate. You're going to continue to elevate. You're going to hit a ceiling and you're going to be like, shit, now what? Now you need to get in the rooms with people doing way bigger than you, right? You can't continue to be this big fish in a small pond, right? You got to go into a bigger pond and continue to grow. So it's always going to have it. It's always going to be levels. You're always going to be growing, right? It's always going to be a different season, and you need to be aware of what season you're actually in at that time.
I want to hit on something real quick because Marlon said something really, really, really important, and it's something that he and I spoke about today on the phone, and that is the idea of not making your life decisions based on the opinions or the thought processes of others. I interviewed a guy on my podcast, a really good friend of mine. His name's Stratton Brown, and he made some choices in life that a lot of people would not do. He took some very risky things, and we asked him, "Hey, how did that affect your relationship with your family, with your loved ones, with your mentors, and all these people that we take influence from, and these people have a level of influence on our decision-making processes." And I'm not in what he said was really, really interesting because his default reaction was, I love them, but they're not paying my bills. And if they're not paying my bills, I honestly don't care what they say.
Yep.
Why? Because he's building his empire. And it's something that I think that we all need to hear, again and again. And to Daryl's point, which is really important, guys, we have seasons, right? It is so critical to understand what season you're in. And the reality is sometimes there are transitionary seasons. There are seasons where you are, being a wholesaler, you're JVing, and now you want to go and enter the next season of direct to seller and yada, yada, yada. Maybe you want to get into fix and flip, or maybe you want to get into buying businesses. The reality is submitting to someone else's mission, even for a very short period of time, can help you skip years off the learning curve. I think the guys would agree with you when I say this. If we want to go and start doing multifamily, or let's just say buying businesses at a high level, buying enterprise businesses, we could do that. It would take us several years to learn it, through just hard work and failing forward. But I mean, if we can get in with an operator who's extremely experienced, who has all the connections in the world, who's got all the systems and the processes, then what ends up happening is we can compress time, right? This is why we pay for mentorship. This is why we pay for coaching. And it's really interesting. Alejandro's right. There's a lot of people right now who are using their capital, to they prioritize an education, basically a real life masterclass on what a deal is, right? And if you go to Alejandro Alvarez, he's going to give you a masterclass on creative finance deals, which are extremely advanced deals. Now, if you go and do that and say, I want to, just learn and be educated because I know this first deal means the world, then don't also gouge on 50% of the equity on the deal. Why? Because that person who you're leaning on, the operator, they're giving you a masterclass. They're not giving you a fish. They are teaching you how to fish. And that is worth anything and everything, in my honest opinion, because you'll get your proof of concept. You'll get a $1 million education easy right off the bat. Just do it. Just do it. That's my honest take. I did this Zoom masterclass called Get Plugged In, and it's all about getting plugged into established businesses. Why? To get into the next season. And the cool thing is this, they don't have to have it all figured out. When I first got into real estate, I got on 8 different teams at once. 8 of them. You know what happened? I saw teams that were crushing it, and I saw teams that sucked. And it was actually really cool to see why they sucked, what systems were lacking, what processes were lacking. I got a masterclass in business scale in basically about 4.5 months, because I understood that going to and plugging into other people's businesses was the easiest way to compress time. So that's all I'm gonna say on that. That's huge.
Yeah, that's massive. See, it's funny when we do these podcast episodes, it's fun. Like, we're giving value to other people, but low-key, these are the sort of conversations I want everyone to know that we have offline as well. Like, this just feels like a phone call with the homies right now. And this is really what it is. Like, these are my phone calls with Sam, and these are my phone calls with Alejandro and Daryl. Like, this is what we talk about here inside the house. Like, when we're inside the house and we're kicking it, me and him was down on the couch a few days ago, and we're just talking about yo, what can we do to improve our businesses? So I freaking love it. Now, I do want to remind everybody of something really important and really critical, which is going to be this concept of be excellent students. right? Like just be coachable. Be willing to just follow instruction. Because as you're getting this information, as you tap in, essentially the information we're giving you on these Tuesday night Zooms every day, every week is enough for you to go out and to go make some damage, to go get your deals done, to really create some chaos and come back and mold it into something beautiful. However, it only happens if you take this information and you start to turn it into action through implementation, right? Because they say knowledge is power, but not without the implementation. Right? You actually need to put the knowledge to work. And you're in the right place to be surrounded by people who also do that. You're going to hit failure. You're going to be rejected. Things are going to bust down and not work. However, you will learn from it. You will learn from it. And then when things do go right, you will gain from it. So there is never a loss in this game. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Daryl. And you got anything you want to follow up with, bro?
Bro, well, it seems like we're about to wrap it up. So I just want to thank everybody for just always tuning in every single Tuesday at 5 o'clock AZ time for the Think Big podcast. Me and my brown brothers, the handsome brothers up here. We appreciate y'all so much. And we're just gonna continue to just bring value to you guys. If you got value out of this, take a screenshot real quick and put it on your story and tag a friend, tell your friends. We need to get more people in here. We need to, like when we first started, it was like 60-something people in here we were averaging at a time. When we were live, we need to get back to that and triple that, right? So I think we need to tell a friend to tell a friend, because we're just gonna keep on dropping value, bringing more value to the fam, to the squad, man. Alejandro, what you got, dog?
Nothing much, man. Just want to thank everyone for showing up all the time. I see some consistent people coming in. I don't know how to pronounce it. Was it Liban? Liban, Eddie. We have some consistent people that show up all the time. So just want to tell you guys I appreciate you for showing up consistently. And, Sam for making it happen. He just pulled to the side. He was like, I can't miss the podcast. So he just pulled to the side. Marlon just still making it happen with the tools he has, right? He doesn't need fancy computers, fancy studios. He just can just pull up and give you the numbers. That's where the value is at, man. So I appreciate you guys just showing up. And if you guys get value from this, please share with your friends and tell them to come watch us every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Central. Sorry.
Hell yeah.
What about you, Sam? Any last words?
Hell yeah. Guys, this is something really important that I want to highlight. It's something that I'm stressing in my life, right? And it's something that I need to work on. I need to get better at. I told a friend this. I need to get better at sticking with my commitments, no matter what. So I was on the highway and crap connection. I'm like, no, I can't miss this. I was in the back of the StreamYard link, couldn't connect. I'm like, I need to figure out how to make this work. And why? Because this is a priority, not just because I said I'm going to do it, but because every time I sit in the studio, like in the digital studio, and I listen to Marlon and I listen to Daryl and I listen to Alejandro, you guys, it's funny. I probably get more from being here than I do anywhere else. I just had a call with Marlon earlier today. Every time I talk to Marlon, I feel like I have evolutions in mindset. Every time I talk to Alejandro on the phone, I have like this weird refocusing ability where I feel like I just, the noise gets cut away and I'm focused again. Whenever I get to talk to Daryl, I just get amped up to freaking conquer everything that I do, right? So if this is important to you, the reality is this, guys, no one's going to talk about real estate to this depth, business to this depth, showing the stuff that we get in trouble for showing, like the HUDs and the addresses and all that kind of stuff. No one talks about DSCR the way that Marlon did. Nobody. It's not out there. Check me on it. You will not find it. If you guys want masterclass education for free, it's actually here. So we're going to commit to being here. Even if I'm in the middle of freaking California on a random side of a road on a highway, we'll be here. You guys want to evolve your businesses. You guys want to make shit tons of money. You guys want to do deals left and right and make millions of dollars. Don't show up for me, but show up for these guys because I show up to learn from them. Do the same every freaking Tuesday.
I'm just gonna be pumped up, bro.
Right?
Let's go,
Thank you, Sam.
bro. So we'll be back here next Tuesday. I don't even know what next Tuesday's theme is. Y'all are gonna have to wait to find out. But we'll be back here next week to provide value as we always do, 5 p.m. Arizona time. And make sure, like Daryl said, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend.
tell your mama.
Yo, that's what it is.
Yo, I love it. No one's got an outro yet. Yo, y'all can see, like, we have not figured out the outro yet. Like, I thought Alejandro was clicking the button. He didn't click the button.
All right, y'all. We'll catch y'all next week on the Think Big Podcast. Peace.